Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. My name's John Harris from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, and I'm the International Education Lead there. We've got a special guest with us as part of our run-up for the Central Asia Trade Forum 2021, and you will be able to hear more from Amar on the special panel taking place on day 3, and that's Wednesday, the 6th of October. But in the meantime, a very warm welcome. Hello, Amar.
Hey, very good morning, John. Very nice to talk to you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you. We're delighted to have you on the panel on the upcoming transport and logistics session. We're going to be looking quite a bit around digitalization and trade. And that's one of the reasons, of course, we've invited you along. So with no more ado, this is Amar from Kale Logistics, based in India, but working right across Asia, and has a real wealth of experience within logistics and supply chain. So let's kick off, if we can, Amar, with your first question.
Sure, John.
No worries. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, Amar, and your background in logistics and all things digital. Just give us a bit of a rundown.
Absolutely. So I'm the director and CEO, and I always joke and say CEO means Chief Entertainment Officer, right? Of Kale Logistics Solutions. We are essentially a technology company focused on providing solutions to the logistics industry. So that's our focus. We don't do anything else. And our focus is on building trade facilitation platforms for the logistics industry. Kale Logistics, obviously, for last 10 years have been serving industry, 30 countries across the world, 4,500 customers, offices in 5 continents. So we have grown quite a lot in the recent years. Personally, well, I'm an electrical engineer with MBA in supply chain management and logistics. I work very closely with the industry on several digitization initiatives. So I'm the domain coordinator of the cross-border management domain at the United Nations Economic Commission of Europe. I was the chairman of the Asia Pacific chapter of International Port Community Systems Association. I am one of the board members representing technology on the board of the International Air Cargo Association called TIACA, which is headquartered in Miami. And obviously with CILT, I have a great association as well. So I was, in 2009, I was the first Indian to get International Young Achiever Award from CILT. And I'm a fellow member of CILT and on the National Committee of CILT India. So that's a little bit about, what Kale Logistics is and who I am. So we are essentially committed to raising the digitization levels in the global logistics industry. That's our mission.
Excellent. Well, wow, what a set of achievements you've got there. And of course, a sense of humor about being the CEO. So great that you're with us. One of the things that you kind of described there was about, your specialist, your niche, you're dealing with this kind of glue business around digital and trade. So we know you're really passionate about the cargo community, and port community systems is one of your kind of special areas. So I'm just going to ask a little bit about that. Can you tell us a little bit about your approach there around port community system, and what are the problems that you're trying to solve?
Absolutely, John. So in fact, this is just the right time to discuss this subject, and I'm glad that we're going to talk about this subject in much more detail. But, as I always tell my team, building digital logistics communities is not our business, but it's our passion. And, let me tell you why. Okay, if you take a simple air cargo shipment, one international air cargo shipment, it is accompanied by 30 types of documents and 124 copies of paper, right? And John, who better than you knows that in the logistics industry, we have so many stakeholders, and each stakeholder over a period of time has created some document or the other for himself. And what's the most funny part of it? most of the data across this 124 copies of paper is the same, right? Shipper name and address, consignee name and address, number of packages, weight, volume, it's just the same. And we have so many, and on the ocean side, the story is no different. 41 types of documents, 200 plus copies of paper just to move one shipment, right? So the problem that we are trying to solve is, when today we have the technology where this data can be reused, do we need so much of documentation, and a paper is not just a paper. Some people just misunderstand it. A paper is an instrument for delay, in some cases corruption, and all of that leads to increase in the logistics cost. And when the logistics cost increase, the product cost increases, and that reduces the country's import export competitiveness, right? So the idea of creating a common platform, so that it can be accessed by different companies, is essentially so that the data that is created by one party in the supply chain can be moved over to the other party seamlessly, so that they don't have to recreate that data, and we get rid of that paper, because today that data gets onto a paper goes somewhere, and then that data is recreated, right? So when you have a system like this, you eliminate a lot of unnecessary paperwork. You bring in the supply chain visibility, which is so critical, because if you don't have supply chain visibility, then what you're talking about is higher inventory in the supply chain, because you don't want the assembly lines to shut down, because the goods don't reach on time, right? And again, higher costs of the product, right? So because this community is connected through a common digital platform, everybody has the same view of shipment. So there is a transparency in the supply chain. We spoke about efficiency, then security. Today, the airports have no idea what is coming to their facilities, and they actually host billions of dollars of assets, right? All these aircrafts that are parked there. And when you have community systems like this, the airports actually know in advance, what's coming in, and that kind of helps in security. Okay, customer satisfaction, making sure that you're able to keep the customer updated, on the shipment status. So what happens when you connect this ecosystem through a common platform? And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean people give away what they have today. They continue to have what they have today, but they just connect to this common platform so that the data can be exchanged. And these community systems have tremendous sustainability value. I mean, we are just doing a few use cases in one airport, and that airport, by eliminating 6 copies of paper per shipment, we're talking about eliminating 8 million copies of paper per annum. That's tantamount to 1,500 trees per annum per airport.
Yeah.
Now that's that. So that is what the community system is all about. Now, very quickly on the challenges, I think. People first of all find it difficult to believe that everybody can use a common platform, but we all know that port community systems existed in the past and they continue to exist in the future. Just that in the past the focus had always been limited to what happens at the port, just between port, shipping line and customs, or airline and customs, and forwarder and customs, and forwarder and shipping line, just 3-4 transactions. But the next generation of community systems that are being proliferated now, right? They connect the wider community. They get importer, exporter on the board. They get the truckers on the board. You have the usual suspects of, airlines, freight forwarders or shipping lines, container freight stations, and you create a wider community so that data can be exchanged seamlessly and it will deliver the benefits that we're talking about, right? The challenges are around education, around telling people that you are not giving away what you have, you're not changing anything, you're just connecting yourself to the wider ecosystem, and that's the way to go.
Excellent. No, thank you. A really comprehensive answer there. I mean, what I'm hearing there is it's all about smoothing out the supply chain, it's de-risking, it's making really good business sense to do this, and it's making sure there's one version of the truth, which is the digital footprint of what you're moving, rather than multiple pieces of paper where mistakes can be made. So let's just move on to that. So obviously you are a technology and digital specialist. So how do you see the latest technologies impacting on that port community agenda? Do you think there will be fast changes in international trade patterns because of the technology available, or do you think it will be a more modest pace?
Well, our industry, John, has been extremely slow. And as they say that, logistics is the last dark continent for technology because
Yeah.
financial markets, telecom, they've lapped up technology much faster than, excuse me, what we have done in logistics, right? But I see us breaking through that glass ceiling now. The logistics industry is really, as I always say, on the runway, about to take off, right? Because when you have technologies that can actually connect different entities, and add to that a concoction of artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, drones, Internet of Things, what we will really see will be a transformation as opposed to incremental improvement, right? Because all of these different technologies, and I'll come to that answer a little later, but all of these different technologies working with a community, a digital community that's connected, actually transform the processes. So whatever hasn't been done for last 25, 30 years could actually be done pretty quickly. I always say that each adversity brings up an opportunity, and pandemic is one such adversity, right? I mean, we saw somebody who is in the technology field. What we saw was that in last 1.5 years, we had 3-4 years of digitization packed into one, right? People could work from wherever they were. They could still conduct their meetings without traveling, so on and so forth, and even to save people's lives, right? I mean, hats off to the logistics industry. If it wasn't there, there would have been at least 50,000 more deaths, if not more, right? So people have adopted technology to make sure that cargo moves faster, medicines and pharmaceutical goods could move faster. So I feel that there is tremendous potential of artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT for sure. And I'll talk about specifics of each of these technologies and how they're useful. Obviously in my speech, but also in our subsequent conversation.
Excellent. Thanks, Amar. I mean, when you talk about that port community and it being transformed, is that only point to point? Is that by kind of trade corridor, or do you see this port community agenda impacting on different types of movement?
So John, this whole thing around port community. Let's look at it this way, right? I mean, you have a port or an airport, and you have different stakeholders like exporters, importers, freight forwarders, customs brokers. And through this port community platform, you just connect this community together, right? But that's one level of automation. You finally need to connect to your trade partners, right? So there are, let's say, let's say United Kingdom, let's say India is a major trade partner, or the United States is a major trade partner. Now you take the ports there or airports there. You've created communities there. If you could link the two, then the exporter in United Kingdom could know what's happening when the shipment goes to the United States or to India, and vice versa. So this whole concept of digital corridors, and we actually created world's first air freight digital corridor between the two airports or two countries. So this corridor where information from one community gets on to another is the next stage of automation. And it will be impractical to think that everyone will be connected very quickly. But you should identify, you should do 80-20 analysis. You should look at those 80% ports or airports that you do majority of the business with, and how can you connect them using technology or digital corridors. And this is one use case where we have used blockchain. So we use Microsoft Skoda blockchain to connect the two airports, right? So that's something that is that is likely to happen, and that's the way to go.
Okay, thanks. That was a really good answer and very helpful. Put that very simply, but yeah, through these effective technology breakthroughs, that we can just make the world smaller, can't we? And information can help us be much more transparent about where the goods are, what they're doing, what state they are in the process. Final question, because the time has flown. Given your wide background in technology, where do you see the big changes in the next 5 years? Now, you can answer this within the context of blockchain, automation, but have a think. What about Central Asia? What about global? What's your thoughts on that, Amar?
Absolutely. So Central Asia, I think, is a very important region, right? And it's largely landlocked region, and for it to exploit all the benefits of technology. One thing that we see that will happen in Central Asia is creation of these community platforms and then the digital corridors to link them to the countries that are, that they do most business with, or link them to the countries that they intend to do more business with, because that's how prosperity will come. That's where logistics will grow, right? So this is definitely going to happen. Globally, let me just put maybe probably one or two use cases of these different technologies. So artificial intelligence, we see artificial intelligence being used in intelligent, truck slot management at ports or airports. That's where you could use it. You could use machine learning, wherein you can, convert this paper data into machine data by training the machines on how to read the data, robotics process automation and machine learning. That could facilitate digitization of documentation, right? Internet of Things, tracking temperatures of farmer shipments, right, when they're moving. Okay, so these sensors capturing these temperatures and then kind of, moving it onto the community platforms. That's how it will be used. Or geofencing, telling truckers which slot to go to, which dock to go to when the trucker enters a geofenced area. That's IoT for you. Blockchain, as I mentioned, maybe digital corridors, drones for last mile deliveries, and drones can also be used within the warehouse for security purposes and inventory management as well. So this is, the answer to your question is a little long, and maybe I'll answer that during the panel that we have. But yeah, this is just to give you a flavor of how these different technologies are shaping the logistics industry and are going to shape the industry in future.
Okay, well, thank you, Amar. I mean, that's been a real kind of fast journey through this whole area of digitalization of port community, and some future thinking from you as well. A big thank you, Amar. Just to remind everybody that Amar will be appearing on our guest panel with the CALT and Central Asia Trade Forum on Wednesday, the 6th of October, and that's in the afternoon Kazakhstan time. You'll also hear a mini keynote speech from Amar. So if this has inspired you to learn more about the port community and how that all fits, please do book to come along. All that remains me to do is once again say a very big thank you to Amar Moray from Calais Logistics. We're really looking forward to sharing the stage with you in early October. Thank you, Amar.
Thank you so much, John.